All this. I mean, Dane's speech was just marvelous. I wish I had that speech writing ability. Yeah, when you come up to any kind of affair, because I'm such a horrible writer, I couldn't possibly sit down and write something as beautiful as Dan had just written. And everybody has more or less enumerated things that I've been doing from the very beginning. And that, more than anything, and people have thanked me for coming. Please don't thank me. I thank you for being here. I have one job in life until the day I die, and every day I think, well, this might be the last day, is to find out who murdered my son. And I still can't say those words without getting upset. Walking past Ground Zero, I can picture him walking into the towers and being blown to bits. But I got his body. I'm one of the lucky ones. Truly lucky. Something like that so many people don't have anything. Again, a man that's 6'3", 260 pounds, they can't find anything. How is that possible? Yet I was able to take Bobby home. I actually sat down with a doctor, and he drew pictures for me of exactly what happened to him. And I am lucky. Can you imagine being lucky on that? Yet I can't talk to people about this at home. 2 people in 8 years have walked up to me and wanted to discuss 9/11. And they were great. They sat down with me and we talked for a half hour, an hour. That's it. So that's why I want to thank you for being here. Because this is an opportunity not only to talk about 9/11, but to talk about my son. We forget about the dead people that we have to talk about. I've had an opportunity to go around the world. And I was in Bogota, Colombia a few years back, and that's 2005. The people of violence throughout Central and South America, the violence they have gone through, mothers who have lost their kids and husbands by what they call terrorists or terrorists, but then you have paramilitary all throughout there. And I remember leaving Bogota and I said, these people have no voices. In Guatemala, the woman who lost her 2 daughters because they were concerned about social issues in Guatemala, and she hasn't found them. To people that lost their sons that were kidnapped down there. And this is very important to me. I wore this outfit. I've worn this in my hat. This is my son's hat from Princeton. John Gold put it on the blocker that I'm standing near just right before the Iraq War. And by the way, from the very beginning, I didn't know from Adam exactly what happened, but I certainly questioned what the government had said. I couldn't believe that they came out with 19 people immediately and said these were the people that committed the act. But of course, the first year, you're just overwhelmed with trying to get your life together. As one person said to me, and it was probably the most important thing I ever heard, he said, the pain will never go away, but the suffering will get better. I can laugh now. I can talk without breaking out in tears. That's a big deal. But right before the Iraq War, I decided to do civil disobedience. It's probably the best thing I ever did in my life. I went down to Washington, D.C. for the whole weekend and did nonviolent training. I have a bad temper. I really do. I really have to work on it. I've spent time with Buddhists on a walk in Japan. Most marvelous people in the world. It just gave me some serenity. Probably the most peaceful time I ever had being with the Buddhists in Japan. By far the most peaceful time. I can't feel peaceful. That's why I was a member of 9/11 Families for Peaceful Tomorrows, and we did wonderful work, and they still do wonderful work. That's why I was there right before March 17th, 2000, when the war started. I demonstrated in front of the White House with the idea that we, in my son's name, and this is the thing that really kills me, in my son's name, I had a big sign, in my son's name there should be no war. I don't care what the story was. I didn't have the answers. I didn't have all the answers there at that time. So I got arrested. And what I learned from that, I didn't spend time in jail. I knew that was going to, if we all did it together, I knew I wasn't going to go to jail, so I'm not that brave. I don't know if I knew I was going to go for 6 months, I would have done it. So I had that feeling, well, I'm not going to be arrested and put in jail for the next 6 months. But what was great about it is that afterwards, people wanted to talk to me about 9/11. The press were there for me to talk to. And that's where I learned action is so important. So when people invite me places, I will go. That's why Bogota was such a major thing to me, because when we look at what's happened, Bobby's life is no different than the life of the children that are dying in Iraq. No different than the children dying in Afghanistan. The soldiers dying everywhere. Absolutely no different. Keep a perspective of this. 3,000 people have died here in New York City. A horrible, horrible crime that has not been investigated. That's where my anger is, and my anger is with the people of the United States, because I don't know where they're coming from. And the 9/11 family members, I wish there could be more here. But I know where they're coming from. I will never speak unkind words to any 9/11 family member, because it is so difficult. But again, 3,000 people died, but how many people have died? I've met women in Afghanistan, in Iraq. They grieve just as horribly as I grieve. They lost a 10-year-old, 12-year-old. I know a lot of military family members who are grieving the same way. The grief never goes away. The pain, as I said before, the pain never goes away. That's why I dropped out of Peaceful Tomorrows, because I don't know where some of the people are coming down here saying, without 9/11 truth, we will not stop wars. Well, that's the truth. That's why I dropped out, because I kept saying to people, I was very involved in the war movement. We must talk about 9/11, because why do we have Afghanistan? Why do we have Iraq? Why do we have the endless war on terrorism? It's all about 9/11. And that's why they're fighting so hard to stop us. And these lies have been going on forever. It is important to connect the dots of history. What it is that we cannot say that this is an exceptional country. We've done a lot of horrible things. We're exceptional people, but the government does horrible things. And we can trace it through our last 60 years. And I speak to the people, to the innocent civilians that have died, because they don't have a voice. At least I have that voice. And it's very, very important to me to speak of them. So when you're thinking of the 3,000 people in here that died at Ground Zero, we'll think again of everyone that has died since 9/11. And how many New Yorkers are here? Yeah. All right. I got this little statement from an old book at home. This is for the people of New York City, because you have a unique opportunity. It's the first time I've ever written down something for... no, in fact, I did this on July 4th, and I followed it up, and I really got in a lot of trouble, because this is really, really revolutionary stuff. And I got in big-time trouble. But it starts, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by the Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among them are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that when any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute a new government. New Yorkers, don't say no to anyone. Don't accept no from anyone. You have the right and the obligation to change history. God bless you, and I hope it will, all right?